YouTube, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Silver and Gold Stack Attack. Wishing everyone a happy holidays and Merry Christmas, no matter how you celebrate the season. And you guys already know you're a part of best damn community here on YouTube, without a doubt. So in today's video, I'm going to go over whether or not silver bars and rounds are a terrible investment, and cover the argument between generic and government-issued silver bullion as well. Now, two disclaimers before I kick this thing off. Number one, I don't refer to my own silver as a quote-unquote investment, since it doesn't pay out dividends and provide continuous income. It doesn't even really qualify as an investment in the broadest sense of the term. And number two, before you run to the comments and brag about how much better your crypto and stocks are, refer to number one. Silver is and always will be more of a means of saving your money versus being an investment, and metals should only be a small part of your overall portfolio, right? Now, I have crypto as well, and it's doing pretty good right now, but my portfolio isn't all in on it, or metals, or anything else. You've got to diversify. Now, if silver goes crazy over the next few years, then that's great, but it's better to keep expectations to a minimum and just consider silver as saving your money in something with intrinsic value versus blowing your expendable income on other junk in your life that'll never provide any kind of return. We all buy stuff. We buy stuff in life. But I think stackers might be a little smarter with their money and allocate it more towards solid savings than anything else. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of bars and rounds versus government-issued bullion? Well, let's go over it really quickly and see if we can drill things down a bit. And all that said, yeah, you already know it.
Let's freaking roll it!
Alright, so let's start off with the advantages of generic bars and rounds. And they are, number one, best cost value per ounce out there, by far. This is the stuff you buy when you're looking to strictly add weight to your stack, and it's what hardcore stackers stick with, and they don't want to hear anything about your fancy collectible silver or limited editions or Star Wars themed stuff.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Enough of this.
Relax, Vader. This is the cheapest way to add silver weight. Bottom line, no ifs, ands, or buts. It's the cheapest way to add weight. And as far as the bars go, the bigger the bar, the more you save on premiums. Number two, generics offer a ton of variety. There are literally hundreds of variations of silver rounds and bars that you can buy just to keep things interesting, right? I mean, we have to switch things up every now and then. It keeps things kosher and keeps us involved. And number three, they're highly liquid in a sale, no question. You're never going to have any issues unloading your generic bars or silver rounds. Alright, now we're up to the disadvantages of generic rounds and bars, and they are, number one, resale value can be poor. Here's the deal. Here it is. If you go to sell your generics, don't expect to recover any premiums that you paid, because your sale is going to be predicated on current spot price. Doesn't matter how fancy any of it is, generics generally resell at spot. Another factor to keep in mind, depending on where you go, you might even get back of spot in a sale, so less than spot. And that's especially true if silver takes a big jump in price like it did this year in 2024. Example, if spot hits $40, don't expect to get $40 back for your generics. You're probably going to take less than spot. Now, with all that said, if you're into your generics from back in the day when prices were lower, you could even go back to the beginning of 2024 when silver was selling for $22 an ounce. And we have to, let's say we have a price spike like the most recent when it hit $35 an ounce or so. Well, then you could have turned a decent profit this year because the dollar didn't lose a ton of value in just 1 year to really impact those profits. Lo and behold, it took almost 11 years for silver to break $30 again, from 2013 to 2024. So selling opportunities like that one seem to be few and far between. That's just what silver do. We'll see what future holds for silver price. Number two, 1 ounce generics carry decently high premiums. Buying silver by the ounce is a great value, but premiums on 1 ounce bars and rounds can be kind of high at times. So you've got to look for the best deals, or look into buying larger rounds or bars where the premiums are low. And number three, dealers consider just about everything generic. And this is the unfortunate reality. That limited edition bar that you paid a nice premium on might not mean squat to a dealer. Unless it's government issued like Eagles, Maples, etc., you might be getting the shaft, so be careful how much limited edition stuff you buy. You're better off selling that stuff peer-to-peer versus a dealer. It's better to give it to someone or sell it to somebody who can appreciate it for what it's worth, rather than a dealer who's looking to get it at the lowest cost possible, just like you did.
Forget about it!
So there you have it, the pros and cons of generic silver. It's great for stacking weight, but it's best to temper your expectations if you go to sell this stuff. And before you say, hey, what are you talking about? I bought most of my silver 20 years ago when it was cheap, and it's more than double or triple now. Well, that's great until you factor in inflation, or more specifically, the loss of purchasing power of the dollar. There are all kinds of factors you got to consider, all kinds. And if you're going to get a true net worth on what your stuff has, you have to think about that stuff. Now, with all that said, some of you might be thinking that I advocate government-backed stuff over generics. Not true at all. I have more than my share of generic bars in my stack, and that's what I primarily use to hit my weight goals. Most of the weight in my stack is 10-ounce bars, but I have quite a bit in 1-ounce bars and rounds as well. Then the next level for my stack is tubes of Eagles, Maples, Britannias, along with a healthy supply of 90% silver. I worked my butt off to make sure I had diversity in my stack, and for the most part, I'm pretty happy with where I am at this point. I think I diversified pretty well. But should we just blow off generics and stick with the government-backed stuff, thinking we'll make more in a sale when the time comes? It's easy to think that. But honestly, I don't think that'd be a great idea, and I'm about to show you why. Now, what you see here is a dealer's buy list, or what they'll give you if you bring your silver to them. Silver Eagles, $2 over spot if they're buying from you. Average. These are average prices. Maples, 50 cents over spot. Yikes. Britannias, Roos, Rands, and Fills, spot price. 1-ounce generic rounds, spot price. 1 to 10-ounce bars, spot price. Kilos and 100-ounce bars, 50 cents over spot. And 90% silver, spot. So if you paid premiums on that stuff, you're going to keep that in mind. That's all pretty sobering. And depending on what you spend on the government-backed stuff like Eagles and Maples, you're getting a lot less than you might have actually thought you would. But again, if silver spot price shoots up, then all of this becomes irrelevant because you're going to make more than what you got into it, hopefully. But in looking at this list, the resale values between generics and government-backed stuff really aren't that far apart, folks, which makes generics potentially the best deal for silver stacking because you're paying a lot less per ounce in most cases.
Hey, fellas! Look what I found in my pocket! Look! A year's salary right here! What I call them? Fun coupons!
Now, we're getting ready to close this video out, but let's sum it all up really quickly. No, I don't think generic silver is a terrible way to stack silver. Matter of fact, I think it's completely conducive to stacking weight on the cheap. And let's face it, that's the very core of the stacker's creed, right? Now, what I personally don't do is stack solely generic silver. I don't go that route. Like I said earlier, I have a healthy mix of generics, gov-backed stuff, collectibles, limited editions, and a bunch of 90%, the bulk of which is made up of Merc dimes. Now, I also collect Morgans, but I don't count those. That's collecting, not stacking, and the premiums on Morgans are just too insane to justify stacking them, especially when you get in the harder to find dates. Just remember that diversity is good, but you don't necessarily have to do it. There is nothing wrong with sticking to generics and building your stack with the cheapest prices possible. Just stick to your guns budget-wise and hold firm to the plan you set in motion when you first started this crazy thing. You can always adjust your goals as life dictates. All right. There you have it, guys. So what are your thoughts on generic silver and bars? Do you stay away from them, or do you stack them to the ceiling? Or do you stack like I do and keep up a diverse pile of silver? Be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are. You guys know I love going through them, so make sure you sound off. And that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Silver and Gold Stack Attack. And if you made it this far, well, kudos to you. I will definitely catch up with you in the next episode, but in the meantime, oh, you hear those bells are jingling.
What do you want to do with your life?
I want to stack. Damn right, get stacked. Stay safe and be well, everyone. I am out of here. Peace on Earth. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Stay safe. I'll see you in the next time.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
Oh, yes. And what was that beginning, middle, and end part again?